Good evening, welcome to the Royal Ascot Part 1 preview of CopaLoadofRacing. Looking forward to the action which gets underway at the Berkshire track tomorrow. One of the big highlights on the racing calendar, of course. Probably the biggest week's racing in terms of flat racing for the sport. So lots to get into. Big day tomorrow, the first day, of course. Always look forward to it. It's actually probably out the 5 days at the festivals, the Royal Ascot's now contested over. I think Tuesday's the best day. We've got some really great action, and we got underway tomorrow. So I'm going to preview Tuesday and Wednesday's action, and later on in the week I'll look at the remainder of the card. The remainder of the cards, shall I say. Right, as I say, we get underway tomorrow. With the Queen Anne, traditionally the Group 1 race, one of the great spectacles to start it. 2:30, as I say, that gets underway. Rhododendron is the favourite at the moment, currently trading at 3-1, 3-1 there. It won the Lock-Inch, and she won that well. Not well, she was really pressed by Lightning Spear, thinking back on that race. Lightning Spear is back in the race today. You just always feel, is that horse going to be one of them that never just gets to finishing past the post first? But this might be its day tomorrow. I don't think so myself. It looks a decent enough renewal of this race, of course. There's a few in there. Ben Battle obviously won the Hampton Court last year, won in Dubai over the winter. That's the biggest probably danger to Rhododendron. But there's a few in there as well. The one that I'm going to go with in each way punt is the American horse Yoshida, who won the Turf Classic back at the back end of last season, of course. William Mott trains this horse, currently around about 14-1, and if all things being well, travelled over, obviously been here for a while, will be fresh, will be raring to go. I think it's worth a wee punt at 14-1 to take on Rhododendron. Ben Battle, as I say, at the front of the market, 3-1, 4-1 respectively. Deserve to be there. There will be Flaming Spear supporters that can not Flaming Spear. I always mix them up with the Flaming Spear, and I've scribbled it down and it's completely gone there. I do apologise, but yeah, that's reopposing as well, and it'll be interesting to see how that pans out. But I'm going to go Yoshida at 14-1. Now the Coventry at 3:05, Sergei Grigoriev is 5-2 at the moment, having won a nice listed race over at Nice earlier in the season, and deserves its place at the head of the market. But the one horse that's really all the rage at the moment, after that performance at Newmarket, this is the Kingman Colt, Calix, who won for John Gosden at Newmarket last weekend, not that weekend, the weekend before, and really impressive. Doubts whether it would come straight to Royal Ascot, whether they were maybe going to wait to the Newmarket, go back to Newmarket for the July meeting, and race there as John Gosden has previously sort of done down those years with previous 2-year-olds. But he's in tomorrow, and I'm going to oppose the O'Brien hot pot with Calix. I think Calix maybe lacks the experience that Sergei has, but I'll stick with Calix in the 3:05. The 3:40 is the big battle of the day, without a doubt, in the King's Stand. You have Batash for Jim Crowley, Charlie Hills, and Sheikh Hamdan Al Maktoum, of course, and opposing it is Lady Aurelia, who ran an absolute blinder in this race last season. Hasn't won since then, but she's certainly ready to come into this race. That's no doubt about that. And Batash, of course, had a breathing up over the winter, came back, ran in the Temple Stakes at Haydock, and had to work hard for its victory, but for returning, and that was a prep race for this really. All eyes have been on this race, it was without a doubt. So they'll be pleased that they managed to get the win under the belt. So to come here in that form, it's going to be a right ding dong battle, and I'm going to weigh on the side of Batash. I've always been a fan of this horse since it's seen it winning at Sandown, and then coming on from that and winning at Goodwood, then winning the Abbey. Blew the Nunthorpe, if you remember rightly, last season. Can get itself a bit hate up, shall we say. Sometimes it doesn't have a big effect on him. I remember at Sean T last season, I wouldn't say he was in the best of behaviour, but still, and won the race supremely dominantly. So it's going to be a cracking race. Catchy's in there at a bigger price at 11 to 1. Ran really well in the Temple Stakes, and it's been a really consistent sort all season. That might sneak a place, but I think it's going to be between those two without a doubt. The 420 is the St James's Palace Stakes, and it's a race which I'm going to go against the favourite who won at Sandown, but Gabber finished behind that horse, if you remember. And at 12 to 1, I think it has a chance. Sir Michael Stout trains this horse. I always do sometimes have a soft spot for the Hamdan horses, but I think this one has a real live each way chance in that race. As I say, the favourite had beaten it at Sandown, but Gabber, I think, can come on from that and certainly can run well. The 5 o'clock at Ascot Stakes were first handicap of the day. Look My Way is the horse I'm going to go with each way. It's round about 16 to 1. Coeur de Lion it beat at Chester. It's currently trading about 7s. And Look My Way, John Quinn, really great. I've always liked John Quinn as a trainer. Always love it when he sends a horse up to Ayr. He always really targets some of the good novice maiden races at Ayr, and usually finds a winner there. And Look My Way is a horse that I've tracked a few times, and I think that can run a big race, as I say, at an each way price. The 5:35, the Wolverton Stakes. Now, I'm sure this used to be a handicap. It's now a listed race, which I don't know about that. But a horse that may return to form is another Hamdan horse, Muntaha. It's currently at around about 22 to 1. It won the John Porter at Newbury last season. It's been gelded. Last time out, needed the run really, but it might bounce on from that. And I don't think the trainer's somebody that would send a horse to Royal Ascot just for the sake of it. I think I know that the owner likes to have a lot of representation at that meeting, and quite rightly so. But I think he has a chance at an each way price. Right, looking at Wednesdays, let's fire through that. 2:30 is the Queen Mary, and Shades of Blue at 6 to 1. Certainly has caught my eye for the Clive Cox and Adam Kirby team. They are always a combination to be targeted, especially over this fiery 5 furlong race. And Clive Cox, as we know, can train these speedy sorts. And yeah, I think Shades of Blue for me in the 2:30. The Queen's Vase 305, I'll be honest with you, I've looked at the cat, I've looked at the race, I have not got any firm opinion on it at this stage. That may change, and if it does, I'll put it on Twitter, but at the moment, no real fancy there. 340 Duke, the Duke of Cranebridge. Each way punting this, William Haggis's Urban Fox is another horse that I've followed. Won last time out, and I think it has a good live chance in that. The 420, the big race of the day on the second day of the meeting, the Prince of Wales Stakes. Cracksman, of course, will be all the rage there. Short price, odds on favourite, without a doubt. Cliffs of Moher, if it can get back to some sort of form, may run well at a bigger price at 12 to 1. Of course, was beat by Lancaster Bomber last time out at the Curragh. But I think it has a decent enough chance at 12 to 1. I'm not, Cracksman for me will win, but if you're looking for something at a bigger price to run well each way, then that has got my thoughts behind it. Right, the big handicap race of the day is certainly the Royal Hunt Cup at 5 o'clock. 2 horses I'll pick here. The old Kaiser Soze, noted for the usual suspects fame, but he's currently around about 14 to 1 there. Tom Queally takes that ride, and to me he's starting to bounce back. He's ran reasonably well, reasonable efforts at Newbury and the Ascot this season. He really does seem to run well over the spring, early summer, because he ran well. I think he had a couple of back-to-back wins around about this time last year, Kaiser Soze, and then had a big long break before coming back this season. But seems to be well handicapped, I think, at 14 to 1. Another one is Escobar for David O'Meara. I think Martin Harley takes the race. Won last time out at Haydock, and that's currently around about 22 to 1, and that could run well at a big price, as I say, in one of the big battle charges down that straight mile at Ascot. And the day ends off with the Jersey Stakes. 2 horses. James Garfield obviously has ran in higher class races than this. This is a Group 3, but I think can run really well, and so will Lake Volter, I think, for Mark Johnson. I think that could run well as well. So that's my thoughts for Wednesday. Remember, if you're looking to go racing on Wednesday, there's actually a card at Hamilton, and that'd be worth a visit there. I don't know if the weather's to be that great on Wednesday up at Hamilton, but it might be worth a wee visit there. So that's my thoughts for the first 2 days racing. All the action, of course, will be on ITV, STV tomorrow, or RUK, and I'll be keeping tuned to that as much as I can. And I'll be back later in the week to look at the rest of the card. I don't know if I'll be able to do Wednesday night looking at Thursday, Friday, but possibly I'll do Thursday night looking at Friday and Saturday, and I'll do some tips on Twitter for Ladies' Day on the Thursday, of course. So enjoy your racing. Let's hope some of the tips can do us some favour, because Saturday was a disaster, I have to say. So fingers crossed, CopaLoad of Racing.